Hi everyone, and welcome to another show of Baba TV. This is our 12th show, which means I've been doing this for a year, which seems kind of hard to believe. More about that later. Because first off, I want to apologize for a mistake I made last month. When we did our music video, God's Name, I mistakenly attributed the song to the Nordine family. And while it's true that they sang it, the song itself was written by Scott McCaig. And to be fair to Debbie, who sent me the song, she had told me that when she sent it to me. But it took me so many months to turn her audio into a music video that by the time I did that, I had forgotten that she had told me Scott wrote the song. So my apologies to Scott, my apologies to the Nordine family, and my apologies to all of you. But that's what happens when there's a long lag time between when I get something and when I use it. And along those lines, I'm finally getting around this month to showing a video that Michael LePage sent me a long time back, with a great story about Francis and the stone hut that he built for Baba. Now, if you remember, in shows, I believe it was 4 and 6, we did segments on the stone house that Francis and others built for Baba on Beacon Hill, Sydney, which later came to be known as Mayor House. And Michael sent me a charming anecdote about it. But before we show it, Ross Keating sent some video to try and give you all a better sense of where the stone hut was physically in relation to the house. And now, the house has been added to since '56, and it actually extends over the hut. And hopefully, Ross's video will give you some sense of where the stone hut was and is. And then we'll hear Michael's story.
Here is a long shot of Francis' cabin, just coming down from the eastern side of Mayor House. You can see it's nestled under the floorboards of the new room which was built after Baba. Just coming down the side, there's Francis' door and little pathways here. You can see how it's very, very tiny, a very small room. The only entrance is the door and this window. Here is the front of Mayor House, taken from the east. And I'm slowly moving around the side of the house. Here we come to the beautiful sandstone wall made by Francis at the eastern or the far end of Mayor House. On the other side of this wall is Baba's room. Here is a new room that was added after Baba's visit. If we keep going down, we will come to Francis's cabin. This is pretty well in its original state. Here is a path I'm going down which leads to the room. And now we're slowly approaching the door. So this was the first room or cabin built by Francis. So we're going inside now. And there is the window, one window, and just circling around in the room. Here's the door Francis came through. And here's a bench here, still with some of Francis' tools on it. The room is no bigger than a kind of monastic cell. But this is where Francis first lived. After he lived in a tent, he built this small room for his lodging.
Hello everyone, I'm in Francis Brabazon's cabin at Mayor House in Sydney, Australia, and this is the cabin that Francis built from stone before he built Mayor House, and this is the cabin that he lived in while he was building Mayor House. Those of you who have been to St. Francis's Cave in Assisi might see some similarities here. When you go to Baba's Cave in Assisi, you pass through the monastery where St. Francis's bedroom is located, and you see the same stone bed that Francis Brabazon, or similar stone bed to the one that Francis Brabazon used, and which I'm leaning against right now. And over my right shoulder, you may see some hand tools that Francis used to cut the stone for Mayor House and for this cabin. This is also the cabin that Francis spent 28 days in following a performance of the play, The Quest. In 1956, when Barber came to Sydney and stayed at Mayor House, the Australian group put on the play, The Quest, which is the last play in Francis's book, Singing Threshold. My mother, Joan LePage, was in the chorus, Joanna Bruford, Lorna Rouse and other people took part in the play. Francis played the main role of the seeker. When it was over, when the performance of the play was over, Francis was beckoned by Barber to come forward, and Barber gave Francis a 28-day seclusion in this cabin. And Francis fell at Barber's feet in pleasure and delight at this penance or seclusion that Barber had given him. Francis was to stay in this cabin for 28 days. He was not to read, he was not to leave, there was no light allowed. He was permitted 1 pint of milk per day and tea and coffee. In case Francis felt the urge to leave, he asked the Barber group to nail shut this door. So this door was nailed shut for the 28 days, and Francis remained in here for those days.
Now, I suppose it's just barely possible that there's someone out there who is as cynical as I am. And on hearing the Barber's reaction to Francis's play was to tell Francis he had to spend 28 days in a hut without light, unable to read anything, not allowed to eat anything, and not allowed to come outside for the entire month, might sound more like a punishment than a reward. But John Grant says that Dr. Neela, who was one of the Mondley with Barber at the time, wept at the end of the play. And the reason he wept was not because the play was so bad, but because he was so happy that the play had delighted Barber. And John Grant adds further that the reason Francis wanted the door nailed shut was that he had never fasted before in his life, and he didn't know how he'd react to 28 days without food. And now, talking about things that delighted Barber, that's a natural segue into our next segment.
Rice and dal daily and budges to eat, old men and children and musts that eat meat, sinners and sadhus and saints on the path, Kaka and El Chahoud make Baba laugh.
Well, as that little song alluded to, 3 categories of people the Baba expressed great fondness for were venerable old men with beards, his beloved children the must, and then children in general. And I thought it might be fun to look at a few of Baba's interactions with children over the decades. The Tus brothers, who came to join Baba's school in 1927 from Iran, many decades later recalled their first impressions on meeting Baba. Kodiyar said, "From when I first saw Baba, I told myself that he was not like the rest of human beings. All his manners and gestures were such that I had never seen before in the world. Baba would come and play games with us. He was very kind to us. Very, very kind to us." His brother Kashru recalled, "But even in the first instant my gaze fell on him, I thought he was very different from normal people, from regular people. He was very lovable, with a very radiant countenance. He always had a smile." After Baba closed the schools, he started traveling outside of the country. And here's some photographs of Baba playing with the Mertens children in Switzerland in 1932. And here's Baba playing with Erich's younger brother, Merwan, who was 8 at the time, probably in 1939. And in 1952, Baba was back in Switzerland. And this time, Max and Gisela Heffliger's 3 children met Baba. And Monica, who was 11 at the time, has 2 very vivid memories from this period. One was of the incredible retching noises the Mondli used to make as they cleared their throats and sinuses early in the morning. This is a photo of the men Mondli standing outside the front of the Mertens home, where the Heffliger family stayed to help out. And this is a photo of the backyard of either the Mertens home or the home next door, which is where Baba stayed. And this is the scene of Monica's second very strong memory. Before leaving America, Baba had put money on silence, and Monica remembers Money standing one moonlit evening by a tree in the backyard, gesturing to Baba, who was standing either at the balcony or an upstairs window, as we see in this photo, gesturing back. And there's something magical about their silent communication and the love flowing between the two of them, which she never forgot. In Baba's 1956 visit to America, we see him with Larry Karish in New York, and then with Diane Dimple, whom Baba called 3B, Baba's beloved baby. It does look like 3B got special attention from Baba during this trip. And also Malcolm Frey. Cynthia Borg, daughter of Stan and Clarissa Adams, pictured here at Avatar's Abode in 58, remembers her first meeting with Baba in 56.
I never felt I belonged to Christianity or to Sufism or any of those, but Baba, I certainly felt straight away, oh yes, I belong to him. As soon as I set eyes on him, and that's as he was walking from the aeroplane across to the airport.
The film clip shows Baba arriving in Sydney. Cynthia saw him 2 days later when he flew to Melbourne, and she describes Baba's arrival and visit to their house.
Cold, wet, miserable. Baba seemed to just float. He didn't seem to get wet at all. And of course, then Baba had this habit, as you know, of always going in to every room. Now, I followed Baba around everywhere, from room to room at our house, and I did the same at other houses because we also visited other houses. Baba paid attention to everything. He was, if he was giving you attention, you had all his attention. And quite remarkable. I mean, there was nobody else that I ever came across who behaved the same way, who interacted the same way. So he was quite different from all other men and women.
But your sense with being with Baba was that you were his, but was it a sense of awe?
Just easy familiarity. It was just, as I said, there was nobody else like it. So that was the difference, rather than it being awe, or it was quite natural.
Charles Haynes talks about meeting Baba 2 years later at Myrtle Beach when he was 8 years old.
Reflecting now on my first meeting with Baba in 1958, I'm struck anew by the power of communicating with Baba in silence. It was my good fortune to be a small child with no questions or particular words to speak. Baba spoke to me, but through a smile, a glance, a touch, or an embrace. Silence between people can often be awkward and frustrating, but with Baba, silence was always intimate and natural. Through silence, Baba removed all barriers, opening the ears of the heart. In truth, his silence spoke louder than words. One day during the 1958 Sahavas, Baba gets out of the car and, supported by walking sticks, makes his way with Nariman to the door of the lagoon cabin. I stand in front of the crowd on one side of the path, waiting for him to pause and give me my now expected greeting. When Baba reaches me, however, he keeps on walking without so much as a glance in my direction. Stunned, I feel heartbroken. Baba is ignoring me. It is a new and deeply upsetting experience. Without thinking, I reach out, grab his sadra, and pull. Baba stops, hands his canes to Nariman, and turns to me. Seeing my tearful face, Baba gives me a beautiful smile, bends down, and enfolds me in his arms. At the children's birthday party, the children line up before Baba to receive prasad in the form of small wrapped candies. When my turn comes, Baba looks at me very seriously, grabs my outstretched hand to give me the candy. Holding onto my hand tightly, Baba pulls me toward him and then pushes me away. Again, he pulls me back to him and again pushes me away and pulls me back. With each push and pull, I come a little closer to him. Finally, he pulls me to him one last time and enfolds me in an embrace.
Sam and Roshan Karawala had their first child, Mara, in 1959. In a lighter vein, Mara remembers Baba's visits to Bindra House not long after she was born.
My mom once asked me, she said, Mara, what is your earliest memory of being with Baba? And I said to her, yeah, I remember. Baba was sitting on a green wicker chair. There was a mat spread at his feet. I was lying on the mat. And our dog Moti was sitting on this side. So she said, you remember that? I said, yeah. She said, well, you were 3 months old when that happened. But, Baba's presence was so strong that visual memories stay with you. So I can still remember lying on the table in front of Baba on a towel. Now, what I don't remember is what other people say, is that I peed on his sadra many times. That I don't remember. They could be making that up. But I remember looking up at his face as a baby. And Guy Mama used to say, Jimmy Mystery would come with Baba, and Baba would say to him, every time I did that, peed on his sadra, he'd say, do something, you've had 3 sons. You know how to look after a baby, what do we do next? But Jimmy didn't know anything because Rhoda, of course, looked after the kids. He didn't know what to do. So then my mother would be called from the kitchen or wherever she was, because he would come in the afternoons. And he would come about 1 o'clock with 2 or 3 of the mandli, and he would sit over there, and he would play with me while the family did other things. And he would have a glass of sharbat about, here. It was usually limbu pani, lime lemonade. And he would dip his finger into the lemonade and put it in my mouth so I could suck it off his finger.
Well, my producer tells me we have to end there or the show will go on way too long. But maybe in a future show, we'll pick up the theme and do more about Baba and children. And of course, if any of you have any stories to tell about your times with Baba, don't feel shy about sending them in to babazoom777@gmail.com. We'd be delighted to get any submissions. And now, well, we all know what that means. Time for another Baba game. Hi, Jeannie.
Oh, hi, Steve. Good to hear from you.
Well, it's good to have that you agreed to participate in this show and possibility of humiliating yourself in front of thousands of people worldwide.
Possibility is very good for that.
Now, according to the notes the producer gave me, you're in Asheville, is that correct? North Carolina?
Yeah, Asheville, North Carolina. North Kakalaki. That's what we call it.
And you're from, before you got married, or still, I guess, you're part of the Nordine family. Is that correct?
Yeah, they didn't kick me out after I got married, so yeah. I'm still in it.
Well, we won't mention your marriage. That's kind of unfortunate that, Bruce Faulkner, we all know about Bruce Faulkner. We'll leave him out of it. But you come from a large family. Is that also correct?
I do. I come from a large family, Catholics. I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters, and I am lucky number 7.
Wow. I thought the Sata family, Guy Mice family, was large. They had 5 brothers and 4 sisters, but the Nordines beat them out.
Please. We ran a circle around the Satas.
Although actually, Baba said when he asked how many brothers, and they said 5, he said, no, 6. I'm your brother.
Oh, that's so precious.
So then they catch up to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bob is our dad. So.
Well, there you go.
And our mom.
What's that behind you, Jeannie?
That is a piece of artwork done by Bob Fredericks. It's a collage of the tomb. And I love it because it feels like when I look at it, I can step down, like in the Amartithi videos. It feels like I can step down onto those steps right down to Baba's body, which is just an illusion of the art. He took pictures of the tomb, or a picture, and then cut it up in such a way to make it look that way.
Wow.
Very creative.
Yeah. Wish we had someone like that at Baba's Studios.
Oh, well, maybe Bob Fredericks will watch this and send something to you.
We can always hope. So now, I think you, being an avid fan, at least that's what my producer says when he contacted you.
I am an avid fan of the show. I love it. Not only is it funny, and I'm not just flattering you, so watch the ego, but not only is it funny, but it's also very informative. I learned so much. At my age, I'm still learning so much about Baba and the Mandali. Yeah, love the show. And it's kind of like Baba's This American Life, concerning the Mandali and Baba's life. I love it.
Well, we'll see how much you know, because we're now going to test you on your knowledge of isolated quotes from the discourses.
Yikes.
And if you've seen the show, you know how it goes. I'm going to read a quote, but the end of the quote will be missing. And then I will give you 3 choices, and you decide which one is the correct ending to the quote. Are you ready? Okay, so I'm going to share the screen so the audience who's going to play along can also see the question and the possible answers.
Wonderful.
Let me see if I can do this correctly. Okay, with luck, you can see that.
Wonderful.
Though realization of the truth is the ultimate destiny of all persons, there are very few who, and now here are your 3 choices. A, are consciously seeking for it. B, understand the significance and importance of this realization. Or C, have the necessary preparation for the early fulfillment of this glorious destiny.
I'm going to go, let's see. The truth is the ultimate destiny of all persons. There are very few who see.
C, have the necessary preparation for the early fulfillment of this glorious destiny. Yes? That's what you're going with?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. That was a really good answer, but it wasn't the correct one.
Well, can I do a retake and try again?
No. But
is it A? Just tell me.
It's A.
Damn it. I thought I was going to say A.
This is a children's show too, watch your language. That's from Qualifications of the Aspirant, Part 1. But because you were,
explains why I didn't get the answer. Right?
Yeah, you're not qualified. What can I say? I tell you what we're going to do.
Not prepared.
We're going to give you a second one.
Fine, go ahead.
An easy one, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me again see if I can share the screen. Okay, the ego is like A, a multi-headed monster, B, an iceberg floating in the sea, or C, a phoenix which rises from the ashes of our attempts to destroy it.
I'm going to say A.
A multi-headed monster. Well, once again, a wonderful answer. It's just not what Baba said. Baba said, want to try a second guess?
Yeah, I'm going to go with C.
A good guess, but again, Jeannie, you had a 50-50 chance that time.
Why did Baba even have me as his lover? I don't
Or
even
maybe
know
he just wants you to read the discourses a little more closely. I don't know. They say God works in mysterious ways.
Can I say something?
Can I stop you?
I've read God Speaks a couple times. I've read The Nothing and the Everything, and I've read many, many books. but I've never read the discourse.
Oh, really? Well, no wonder you're having some trouble
I've
here.
always been ashamed to admit that because I just never read them. I read Lord Mayor, that was fun, and I read Mara Mayher, really fun, better than Harry Potter. But the discourses.
Well, you need a crash course. I'm going to give you 1/3 question then, okay?
All right, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to share the screen again. And this one you'll get. Can you see it?
Yes.
Goaded by multifarious desires, man seeks the pleasures of the world with an insatiable appetite, unabating hope, or a self-defeating gusto.
An
insatiable appetite.
It's gotta
well, I
be.
think that's probably true, but once again, that's
what the hell?
Jeannie.
What is it?
Children's program. Remember, watch your language. When you went to guess, you got 50-50 chance now.
All right. See?
Oh, it's amazing. It is amazing, Jeannie. Once again, you got everything but the right one. It's an unabating hope. That's from the Conditions of Happiness.
I don't have any hope.
I guess not.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Well, you would think just, blind guessing, knowing nothing. It's a multiple choice.
I know, and I thought I considered myself a good Bob lover.
Well, being a good Bob lover, as we know, has nothing to do with actually knowing the discourses. So,
well,
there's still hope for you.
God.
Yeah. Thank you so much for playing. You were a good sport. You were a terrible contestant in terms of actually getting something, correct. But that'll make all of our viewers who no doubt got some of the answers right feel so much better about themselves. So thank you very much. You did not win a free tour of Baba Studios. But
I'm terribly disappointed.
Yeah. But thank you. Thank your husband. Thank your brothers and sisters. And most of all, thank Baba.
Yeah, thanks, Baba.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And so we leave another happy contestant, delighted to have played a Baba game. And that just about wraps up our show for this month. And I had said earlier that we've actually done this for a year now. This is our 12th show. And I'm going to take a bit of a sabbatical, at least for a month or two. So there won't be any shows in June or July, probably. But in the meantime, any of you, feel free to send in your videos and poems and songs and whatever you have. So I'll have a whole backload of things ready to go when we start up again. Okay, see you all. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Bye-bye.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to